My peeps, it's finally happening! Spring is here, look!
Spring, in fact, was not here.
Hello, welcome to another episode of our Edinburgh neighbourhood guide. And today, not surprisingly, we are covering Abbeyhill. And because Abbeyhill is kind of hard to pinpoint, we are also gonna be covering Meadowbank. To some people, it almost kind of like merges together, these two neighborhoods. To one person, Abbeyhill might be just the little street kind of leading into this neighborhood from the palace. To another person, or to Lothian buses, it might be a stop that's like literally a mile away from there. So yeah, we weren't quite sure where to start and where to end Abbeyhill, so we included Meadowbank as well. Now, this is a neighborhood that was second on our list of neighborhoods to visit for this series, because we think it's great and not many people visit.
Abbeyhill is also where you can get Edinburgh's best scone, but more on that later.
And if you are visiting Edinburgh, perhaps for your second, third time, you should definitely pop over here. It's really easy to visit. It's full of cafes, and so many types of cafes as well, from like places where you can take your whole family for a brunch, to places where you can buy some vintage goods, and even, you know, little Australian kind of hip takeaway cafes. Keep watching to learn more about this amazing hidden gem of a neighborhood, and we're gonna do our best to take you to all of our favorite spots. Now, one of the greatest things about this area, this neighborhood, is that it doesn't matter if you live here or if you're just visiting, there are not one, not two, but three amazing routes you can take to get here. My favorite one is probably taking Regent Road, which is basically the way that takes you from Princess Street all the way here to Abbeyhill, and it has some of the city's most beautiful views over Old Town and the train station. The next one you can take is kind of more from like St. James Quarter through the park that kind of like runs along London Road. And the third one, which is probably the most obvious one, is if you go all the way to the bottom of Royal Mile and you hit the palace, then you kind of go left. I think that is the road that is actually called Abbeyhill, but it takes you to the area that most locals consider to be Abbeyhill. So yeah, these three amazing routes that you can take, which means that you can take one in, a different one out, and you don't have to feel like, you know, you are visiting some sort of like suburb and you're wasting your precious time of your trip on a little like a jaunt to an area that someone told you to visit. Like, this is worth it even for the way of getting here. Now, for us, this video is a bit more complicated than our last one about Bransfield, because this area obviously isn't nearly as linear as the last one. Bransfield is basically just one long high street, and it was really easy to kind of like follow the shops and restaurants there and show you all of them. Here you kind of have like multiple little hubs, and we're gonna use a little Google Maps screenshots to always tell you where on the map we are, just to make this as easily understandable as possible for all of you. Okay, enough talking, now let's explore Abbeyhill.
Most of you will probably start your visit around here, Montrose Terrace. You'll find a great gay-friendly pub here, the Regent, and a couple of small businesses catering to creative and sporty hobbies. I met up with a friend at Art and Vintage, one of this area's amazing coffee shops. This one is great if you're also looking for a souvenir or a unique gift. A bit further down this direction, you're gonna pass Think Pastry, our favorite Greek bakery in Edinburgh. We even ordered from here for our wedding party. Continuing back onto the busy London road, we couldn't finish this video without popping into Red Kite. We've loved this place since it opened a couple of years ago, and so do many other people, it seems. This is a busy spot, but trust me, it's worth it. It's very family friendly and is open until later than a lot of the coffee shops in the area. The daily food specials are always worth a try, but hear me out. This is, in my questionable foreigner opinion, the best scone in Edinburgh. It's so buttery and, excitingly, they bake a new flavor every day or so. If you're not into just coffee or coffee shop fare, you have to stop by Matto. This is, for us, one of the best pizzas in town. Their Neapolitan-style pies are chewy and satisfying, and each month they roll out 2 new specials. We tried one of them, with parsley ricotta and juicy sliced ribs. This is more of a takeaway place than a sit-down one, but I think their shop is much prettier than sitting down in a usual delivery-heavy establishment. Now, sticking to London Road, we will walk past the Meadowbank retail park. This place is becoming a bit ghost towny, with stores like M&S and TK Maxx closing down recently, but it still features a large Sainsbury's, Poundland and multiple discount stores, plus a KFC and a drive-through Costa. Behind it, however, you will find a little hidden gem, a huge South Asian supermarket called Global Foods. It's a lifesaver if you're into making homemade curries. Indian, Thai and beyond. Further east, we're getting into a very residential area. You will probably notice the freshly renovated Meadowbank Sports Centre, open to public as a gym or as a venue for sports events. This part of the neighbourhood is on the quiet side, except perhaps the relatively busy London Road itself. We tried to pop into one of Meadowbank's only artisanal coffee shops, Barista, and it was a pleasant experience with tasty brews and an impressive brunch menu. Walking back, we will pass another hidden gem of the neighbourhood, Belfield Brewery. They're slinging their gluten-free beer in this train tracks adjacent little beer garden. It's a wonderful spot to visit in the summer, but it does get popular, so do get a resi, my peeps. Back on London Road, we'll pop into Abbeyhill. Hey, I warned you, this is a cafe lovers area, so you can't judge me for my heavy caffeine consumption. This spot is larger on the inside, so don't be shy and pop in for one of their smooth flat whites and impeccable bakes. And let's not forget that this is one of the spots in Edinburgh where you can visit colony houses, worker housing from the 19th century, which is now a super sought after style of living in the city. But the Abbeyhill ones are a bit more special because they are also known as the colony of artists, and once a year you can pop around and visit local art peeps in their homes to talk and peruse their work, plus some extra neighborhood events on top. we are at the London Road Easter Road crossing. From here you can walk back to the centre through the park, or you can stick around and enjoy even more local biz. Walking down towards Leith, you will run into a plethora of cool little shops and line spots. Now, here's a trio of faves. First, 12 Triangles, the place for an amazing loaf, 11C Street, and even some local artisanal cheeses, butter or chocolate. Paul and Tony, an Italian lunch takeaway, where if you see the spinach egg truffle focaccia, you need to have it. Trust me, it's my favorite thing. Third Cup de Charm, Little Fitzroy, an Australian-inspired cafe stocked with the most decadent-looking pastries. Yum. Nestled among these is also the Cloud9 boutique, perfect for more gift and souvenir discoveries. Another unique little bakery toward the end of this block, Echo's Eclair. You won't find much of French-style choux pastry around Edinburgh, so if that's what your palate craves, might be worth a little trip. We had the tiramisu eclair and it even had an espresso-soaked ladyfinger on the inside. We would have stopped our quest here, but I wanted to walk a bit further and tell you about 101 by Support the Makers, a store featuring work by local designers and artists, including a friend of mine who will join us for the next part of this video.
Yay! Welcome to everyone's favorite part of this video, which is where I talk to my local friend. This time it's Nicki, who is my artist friend and also is one of the only friends I have who actually have a family. And I know that a lot of you often ask me about what it's like to live in Edinburgh when you have a young family. So yeah, I'm gonna ask Nicki about what she thinks about that in relation to living here in this neighborhood. But we're gonna start by, well, saying hi and also asking, what do you think are the pros and cons of living here in the sort of Meadowbank and Abbeyhill area?
So pros, we'll say first. So very like family friendly. So I've recently gotten to know quite a few mums in the area. There's like this neighborhood. We're off of London Road, and behind us there's a bigger neighborhood, and a lot of families live back there. Trick-or-treating around Halloween is great back there. And we're not very far from Holyrood, which kids love. You can just walk up there. There's a duck pond out that direction. There's several pubs and bars in the area, but there's this restaurant bar called the Willow just across the street from us. And that is more, I would say more family friendly. They have like kids eat free, I think, Mondays, if I'm correct. There's several play groups in the area. A church that has a play group. It's like £2 and you get some snacks for your kids, a cup of tea and a biscuit for you. And there's another one down the road. So you don't have to go far to find something to do with your kids. And then Portobello is just, you just hop on a bus and you're at the beach. It's well located to get to a lot of different things. Abbeyhill is not far either. So I would say the cons are, in our particular spot of Meadowbank, this is a con for me, it might not be for everybody. There's only one coffee shop within walking distance, and then otherwise we have to hop on a bus to go down to Abbeyhill, which isn't far, so it's not really that big of a deal.
You do have pretty good access to like large supermarkets here, right? Because there's the Morrisons,
there's
and
a
there's the
Morrison down the road,
Sainsbury's.
there's a like a retail park with a Sainsbury's and B&M, and there used to be a TK Maxx. I think it just went away.
I'm guessing you don't really get many like tourists and visitors in this area, right?
I don't think so. I would guess more down near Abbeyhill and then further towards Portobello. So this, I would say, is a more quiet residential spot. So it is nice for families because it's a little bit quieter. I mean, London Road is just a little busy traffic-wise, but other than that, like even when the fringe happens, like none of them come over here. So there were some binge strikes this past time, and it took a while for it to get bad over here because not many people were over here. That being said, you do miss some things. Like there was I think the funeral procession that came, and like you could, if you didn't know about that happening, you don't see it at all over here.
And would you say this is one of the places where the rent is perhaps more reasonable than in areas like Brunsfield, where we visited last month, and we were just jealous of all the people who can afford to live there?
Yeah, we did a little bit of, like searching in different areas for a place to rent, and we rent. Our rent is about $1,100.
Wow.
So I don't know, compared to other places, how is that pretty high?
No, that's really nice for a flat
might have
this
gone
large.
Up to 12. Yeah, because we have a 2-bedroom and a little box room. That's a nice thing. You're going to get a pro about some of the older buildings. They don't include the box room often.
Yeah.
So you get this extra little spare room kind of thing.
Do you have any favorite like small businesses in the area that you would like to recommend to people watching this?
Yeah, well, the Willow Bar across the street, they're pretty small. I think they opened up another location. There's the coffee shop you can walk to is Barbarista. It's very small. They have some seating upstairs, but their coffee is very good. There's also the Margaret, like the art building. It's it's like Edinburgh paint palette, I think, or Edinburgh palette is what it's called, but it's in this St. Margaret's building. I forget what it's called exactly. It has several names.
Yeah, it's always quite like intriguing. For the longest time, I didn't really believe there was anything art related in it, but I think people have like shared studios.
Yeah, so they have studio space. There's like a wait list. They have workshops. At least once a year, maybe twice, they run little art markets in there because all the artists that are there will sell their stuff. So that's kind of nice because there's a collective of small businesses just in there. So
cool. Yeah, well, this might be a good point for you to self-promote a bit because you are an artist and you do actually sell some of your wares on Easter Road now, right? There's a little shop there.
Yeah, so there's a shop called 101 by Support the Makers, and that's like an organization that does a lot of pop-ups for artists. So they've done one in St. James, they've done one in Waverly, and I think we're doing one at Dovecot, is that how you say it? Yeah.
Yay, Scottish.
In August. And so, they have a little storefront on Easter Road where you can rent like some space to sell some of your stuff. So I just have a shelf.
Where can people find your work online?
Yeah, I have a little website, nickinewell.art. That will take you currently to a page of different links you can find. I have an Etsy shop, things like that. I'm
gonna put all the links to Nicki's work down into the doobly-doo, and you probably also saw it somewhere on the screen here now. Okay, thank you so much for making the time for us and also making us lunch today.
Yeah.
Free lunch. And hopefully this has been helpful to everyone who's considering maybe moving into the Meadowbank area. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
As per tradition, or at least a tradition that we're trying to establish, our last visit to this neighborhood is at night. And you can probably tell from the B-roll that this is not like a super nightlifey area. It does have 3 pubs, it does have a couple of chippies, and it does have at least 2 very good off licenses. Both Cornelius and Top Cellar are amazing to pick up some both local and European or even worldwide made beers from. We just popped in and got some Japanese beer. Yay! Anyway, coming back to Abbeyhill and Meadowbank has been like coming back home. I really loved it. I am genuinely so happy that we picked this neighborhood for our second video in this series, because I truly think that it doesn't matter if you're looking for a place to live in Edinburgh or if you're just looking for an interesting area to visit, if you've already seen all of like the main tourist haunts. Abbeyhill is great for coffee lovers and food lovers, and it's such a great like brunchy place. And if you're thinking about full-on moving here, then I think this is just such a great value. Like the bang for buck ratio here is wonderful. We lived here for 5 years and we loved each year of that, except for our neighbors who kept flooding down into our house, which eventually led to us being kicked out just so our landlord could fix the house. Well, happens, not Abbeyhill's fault. If you don't want to miss any of our future neighborhood videos, then definitely stay tuned by clicking the bell and subscribing, or doing it in the other way around, which is probably the logical way of doing it. Also, don't forget to follow me on places like Instagram, where I function under KakiBot for mostly my art and KakiBlog for mostly updates about videos and pictures of Edinburgh. And also I'm on Twitter and I have an Etsy store. All of these links you will also find down in the doobly-doo. Some people don't know what doobly-doo is, that's the description box. Alrighty then, that is it for me. And after like 2 weeks of coming to Abbeyhill and Meadowbank, I am finally done with this video. I hope you loved it. You super liked the first one, so I hope I didn't let you down this time. And let us know in the comments below, which one would you like us to do next? Okay, I shall see you soon. Bye.